If I could, I surely would stand on a rock where Moses stood. Pharaoh's army got drowned. Oh, Mary, don't you weep. Hey, this is Jeffrey Pepper Rogers here for Acoustic Guitar with a lesson on accompaniment, on going beyond strumming. So strumming is a great technique on the guitar. It's a natural motion, it cuts through, it's got percussion to it, but it's also really easy to overdo. Constant strumming can overwhelm the vocal and actually mask the groove and not allow the kind of breathing room and contrast that songs need. So this lesson is just about varying your fretting and picking hand technique to create accompaniment parts that are more dynamic and nuanced, both harmonically and rhythmically. So the song I'm going to work with in this lesson is the traditional spiritual "Oh Mary, Don't You Weep," which has been recorded by lots of artists, from the Swan Silvertones and Mississippi John Hurt to Aretha Franklin, Pete Seeger. It's actually played in both major and minor keys. And this version is in minor, similar to how Bruce Springsteen sings this on the Seeger Sessions album. So first, here's a run-through of a verse and chorus of the song. It only uses 3 chords, E minor, A minor, and B7. And the progression is the same on the verse and the chorus. And I'm just going to go through it just for starters with a straight strumming pattern. 2, 3, 4. If I could, I surely would stand on a rock where Moses stood. Pharaoh's army got drowned. Oh, Mary, don't you weep. Oh, Mary, don't you weep, don't mourn. Oh, Mary, don't you weep, don't mourn. Pharaoh's army got drowned. Oh, Mary, don't you weep. So as a first step, you go back to "Oh, Mary" and try playing through a verse and just strumming each new chord once, just letting it ring, not playing anything else, just to hear what that sounds like. This is a great step to do with any song when you're working on accompaniment, just to kind of clear it out and see what it sounds like with all of that open space. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, Mary, don't you weep, don't mourn. Oh, Mary, don't you weep, don't mourn. Pharaoh's army got drowned. Oh, Mary, don't you weep. So building on that last version where you strummed each chord once and just let it ring, now try adding in a blues-style monotone bass in between the strums. Just thumping the bass note of the chord in between the strums. At the same time, when you do strum, reduce the chords. Take out some of the treble strings so you get a tighter, more contained sound. As you'll hear, a really simple and sparse part like this is more than enough to keep the song rolling. 1, 2, 3, 4. So now switch from that monotone bass to an alternating bass. So I'm going to play bass notes on beats 1 and 3 and chords on 2 and 4. And again, just strum a few strings at a time, no more than 2 or 3 strings, and use a light touch with a pick rather than a big heavy strum. 1, 2, 3, and... So now let's thin out the part even further by taking out more strums. Let some chords just ring for 2 beats. So you'll notice when you do this that the rhythm doesn't halt when you don't play on a beat. Once you've established the pulse, everyone will hear and feel it even when you don't play it. 1, 2, 3, 4. When you're picking chord tones like this, you don't actually need to strum chords at all. So in this next example, use only double stops, meaning 2 notes at a time, or single notes, and it creates a nice airy sound for the accompaniment. 1, 2, 3, 4. So far, the focus here has been on thinning out the accompaniment by playing fewer strings. So another side of this is to shorten the duration of notes by muting. So in the next example, I'm going to play chord voicings that are only on the bottom 4 strings and I'm going to mute them quickly. So do that partly with your fretting hand. After you strum a chord, you just relax your fretting fingers so you're cutting those notes off, and then just laying your fretting fingers down over open strings, just touching the strings to cut them short. At the same time, you can do muting with your picking hand by just resting your palm on the strings right here on top of the bridge, which creates that kind of muted thumpy sound. 1, 2, 3, 4. So now try applying those muting techniques, fretting hand and picking hand, to an example with the monotone and alternating bass styles. 1, 2, 3, 4. In practice, the best approach is to vary the accompaniment according to the flow of the song, rather than strictly following one pattern the whole time. So that's what we'll do in this last example, which is running through the entire 16-bar "Oh Mary, Don't You Weep" verse and chorus form. So during the verse, play staccato using some of the patterns you practiced earlier in this lesson. And then in the chorus, let the strings ring more for a nice contrast and kind of gives the centerpiece of the song a little dynamic lift. 1, 2, 3, 4. If I could, I surely would stand on a rock where Moses stood. Pharaoh's army got drowned. Oh, Mary, don't you weep. Oh, Mary, don't you weep, don't mourn. Oh, Mary, don't you weep, don't mourn. Pharaoh's army got drowned. Oh, Mary, don't you weep. If you compare that last version of "Oh Mary" with what we started with that constant strumming, here the song sounds a lot more relaxed and natural. The vocal stands out more easily and the groove sways rather than sounding so rigid. And because you're not playing every string, every note that you can, you've got space to make the sound bigger if you want. You can add things to your guitar part, or you can strip it down further, maybe just to a bass line. You've got dynamic headroom. So think about applying this approach to other songs that you play, and you'll find that a lot of times you can get more out of your accompaniment by playing less. Once again, for Acoustic Guitar, I'm Jeffrey Pepper Rogers. Thanks for tuning in.